legislate by, that I hold by. And they're the standards we should repair to.
My name's Joe Biden, and I'm a lifetime member of the NAACP. Now, I'm from Delaware, so I go along with Delaware State being the best HBCU. Commonly keep saying it's Howard. And I'm going Sunday to make a speech at that other place, that men's college, Morehouse.
So Joe Biden gave his commencement address at Morehouse today. I made a previous video that we'll show at the end of this video that had the responses and the reaction and the concerns of the students there at Morehouse. Well, Joe Biden did nothing to assuage those concerns today.
Scripture says, the prayers of a righteous man availeth much.
I don't know if we asked Joe where exactly that scripture is found. Will he be able to tell us exactly?
In Augusta, Georgia.
Ain't it funny how these Democrats love to quote scripture, knowing good and well they probably never even read those scriptures that they're quoting. That their speechwriters just put it in there just so they can sound like they're spiritual, like they're a Christian. Look how he's trying to pander already to the black community, to their religious roots.
This graduation day is a day for generations, a day of joy, a day earned, not given. We gather on this Sunday morning because if we're in church, perhaps it would be this reflection. It would be a reflection about resurrection and redemption. Remember, Jesus was buried on Friday, and it was Sunday. On Sunday, he rose again.
Nah, Joe, Jesus did not die on a Friday. He was not resurrected on the Sunday. He was in the grave 3 days and 3 nights. I know this is a Catholic thing that has been pushed to the greater society, and a lot of Protestant churches buy into this Good Friday and Easter Sunday. That's not 3 days. More than likely, Jesus died on a Wednesday and he got up on a Saturday night. Because it said on the first day of the week, early in the morning, they came and they saw the stone roll away. Jesus did not die on a Friday, for everybody. If you didn't know, Jesus did not die on a Friday. He did not get up on a Sunday morning. I hope this helps some of you all who've been trying to factor in and trying to calculate, how is that 3 days? That's not 3 days. It's not. That's not biblically based when people say Good Friday and then Easter Sunday. And then Easter is not even something that is biblical in and of itself. That's based on the God, Ishtar, and a whole lot of other stuff. But just to set the record straight, Jesus did not die on a Friday.
But we don't talk enough about Saturday, when his disciples felt all hope was lost. In our lives, in the lives of the nation, we have those Saturdays to bear witness, the day before glory, seeing people's pain and not looking away. You missed your high school graduation. You started college just as George Floyd was murdered.
Here we go. Here comes the pandering. Joe Biden pandering, trying to appeal to the idolatry in the black community, the tired old playbook that the liberals and the Marxists continue to go to. But as I've said in the previous video, that no longer works. Twofold. Because young people are waking up, especially young black folks, young black men are waking up. The majority of men in that audience are waking up to the lies of the Democratic Party. And number two, they're not attending these traditional black churches, Joe Biden, where your church plants have been stationed by the liberal puppet masters. So therefore, this will not work on them. Don't try to appeal to them through fear.
And there was a reckoning on race. It's natural to wonder.
There was not a reckoning on race. It was a reckoning established and set up by you guys. You guys want to have a reckoning on race because you're always trying to use black people as your useful idiots to usher in your revolution. You guys want a reckoning on race. The majority of black people did not want a reckoning on race, but you use the agitation of what happened to George Floyd for your advantage. You did. You played black people, and black people recognized that. They recognized they were played by you guys to acquire and retain power. That's it.
Democracy you hear about actually works for you. What is democracy? If black men are being killed in the street, what is?
Boy, this stuff is getting real offensive. These liberals, these Marxists, Joe Biden should be ashamed of himself that he would think to utter these words at a black male commencement address. What about messages of hope? What about messages of aspiration? No, you guys are victims. You guys are getting murdered in the street. There's a race reckoning. It's hard for you guys. What about democracy? You don't have opportunity, black men. Would you say this same thing to a majority white commencement audience, Joe Biden? I don't think you would.
Democracy. The trail of broken promises still leave black communities behind. What is democracy? You have to be 10 times better than anyone else to get a fair shot.
Black people don't need you to tell them that. It's your economy that has set them up. It's your policies. It's the social, liberal, Marxist policies that have harmed the black community, that have created the pseudo-socialistic environment in the inner cities. But you won't admit to that. You will not cop to that, Joe Biden. The Democratic Party will not cop to it, and some Republicans will not cop to it. It's that system that you have established that have kept black people second class, in your words, struggling to get ahead. I know a lot of black people that are not struggling because they have not bought into the lie that you're selling. They have not bought into this system that you're selling. They have not bought into the government taking care of them. They recognize that they have agency from God and they operate from that agency.
Most of all, what does it mean, as we've heard before, to be a black man who loves his country, even if it doesn't love him back in equal measure?
Boy, I tell you, I don't know if I can make it through this whole commencement. I don't know how those young men sat through this commencement. This is so offensive. Joe Biden, we're not in 1940, 1950 anymore, brother. We are in 2024. Those black men that you're speaking to have agency. Those young black men that are graduating have the ability to achieve. They don't need you there to make them victims. They are graduating from Morehouse. They are not victims. Stop painting them as victims. Stop painting them as people that are oppressed, Joe Biden. That is offensive, and that is not going to work. That playbook is not going to work, Joe. You got to come up with something different. That is sad. That is a Democratic playbook. That is the only thing they got, and they think it's going to work. It's not going to work. You can tell it's not going to work, and Joe don't know what to do because that smattering of applause shows that people are not feeling that.
Around my wrist, the bust of my office remind me that faith asks you to hold on to hope, to move heaven and earth, to make better days. Well, that's my commitment to you, to show you democracy, democracy, democracy is still the way. If black men are being killed in the street, we bear witness.
Joe, you talking about a black man that have been killed by other black men, or black men being killed by police officers? I think you're referring to the latter. This is so offensive. So offensive.
For me, that means to call out the poison of white supremacy.
Dude, white supremacy is not the major issue affecting black people. Have you read the tea leaves? Have you listened to have you actually had a conversation with black folks? Black people are not concerned about white supremacy, man. Black people are concerned about feeding their children. Black men are concerned about finding opportunity. That's what they're concerned about. They're not concerned about white supremacy. The majority of black people don't walk around thinking about white supremacy. It's only you guys who keep reinforcing this notion of white supremacy, this boogeyman of white supremacy, so you can stay in power.
Without systemic racism, I stood up for George Floyd's family to help create a country. We don't need to have that talk with your son or grandson as a...
Boy, whoever wrote this speech did a horrible job. He's like hitting all the stereotypical talking points. This is horrible. That dude should be, whoever that was, should be fired for that.
Instead of a trail of broken promises, we're investing more money than ever in black families and black communities. We're reconnecting black neighborhoods cut off by old highways and decades of disinvestment when no one cared about the community. We've delivered checks in pockets to reduce black child poverty, the lowest rate in history. Removing every lead pipe in America so every child can drink clean water without fear of brain damage and can't afford to remove the lead pipes themselves. We're delivering affordable high-speed internet so no child has to sit in a parent's car or do their homework in a parking lot outside of McDonald's. Instead,
wow. That was borderline racist there, Joe. Why didn't you say in the parking lot of a Whole Foods? Why it gotta be McDonald's? Why couldn't it have been a Shake Shack? Why couldn't it have been a BurgerFi? Why it gotta be a McDonald's, Joe? At least you didn't say Popeyes a cookout.
instead of forcing you to prove you're 10 times better, we're breaking down doors so you have 100 times more opportunities. Good paying jobs you can raise a family on in your neighborhood. Capital to start small business and loans to buy homes. Health insurance, prescription drugs, housing that's more affordable and accessible. I've walked the picket line and defended the rights of workers. I'm relieving the burden of student debt. Many of you have already had the benefit of it, so I can chase your dreams and grow the economy. When the Supreme Court told me I couldn't, I found two other ways to do it.
You broke the law. That's how you did it. You ignored the ruling of the Supreme Court. You broke the law. That's what you did.
Today in Georgia, they won't allow water to be available to you while you wait in line to vote in an election. What in the hell is that all about? I'm serious. Think about it. And then the constant attacks on black election workers who count your vote. Insurrectionists who storm the Capitol with Confederate flags are called patriots by some. Not in my house.
Come on, man. Come on, Joe. You gotta do better than that, man. I'm actually feeling sorry for you. The response you got from the crowd, this was horrible. This was a bad look, Joe Biden. And you had a lot of bad looks. This was horrible.
Black police officers, black veterans protecting the Capitol were called another word, as you'll recall. They also say out loud, these other groups, immigrants poison the blood of our country. Like the Grand Wizard and fascists said in the past. But you know and I know, we all bleed the same color. In America, we're all created equal. For the record, you know what I'm saying, I mean from my gut. We know black men are going to help us lead us to the future. Black men from this class in this university. But graduates, this is what we're up against. Extremist forces aligned against the meaning and message of Morehouse. And they peddle a fiction, a caricature, what being a man is about. Tough talk, abusing power, bigotry. Their idea of being a man is toxic. I ran them all the time when I was younger. I want to get started. But that's not.
What happened when you ran into them in the past, Joe? I'm curious about that.
I'm not kidding. For yourself and for your nation. The prayers of a righteous man availeth much. A righteous man. A good man. A Morehouse man. God bless you all. We're expecting a lot from you. Thank you.
That was hideous. That was offensive. That was horrible. That was probably the worst commencement address I've ever heard a president give. That was low. It was offensive. It was stereotypical. It was demeaning. It was all those things to those majority black men sitting in that audience. I hope those black men realize that the Democratic Party cares nothing about black men. Joe Biden cares nothing about black men except what they do for him in November. Well, I'm here to tell you, Joe Biden and Democrats, we're not victims. We are empowered. We are empowered for greatness.